What was the presentation you went to?
Last night we went to the only official Canadian side event that was scheduled for the conference. It was supposed to be a presentation from Minister Baird presenting their plans of action for 60 to 70% emissions reduction, as well as their post-2012 plan. And instead we were presented with three presentations from Encana, Iogen, and Plasco Energy, three Canadian technologies on oil and energy. And once they were done, we were informed that Minister Baird had left to attend important negotiations. We researched this and were informed that Minister Baird was not in these negotiations and could not be found. However, we were also informed that he had to meet with his other delegates to discuss a turn of events from China. We were very embarrassed from these events. We were extremely disappointed. We were really excited to hear our government's plan of action, and we're really hopeful that this would be a wonderful presentation, and instead we're severely let down, not only as NGOs but youth. Canadian youth, as well as we felt really let down for the global community for our government's actions. So upon this, we sent out many press releases to expose our government's inactions and their inappropriate behaviors at this conference. And we have received a lot of condolences and a lot of agreement with our feelings, not only from Canadians, but from delegates across the world.
And your name is?
Lise, Wishart, and I'm with the Canadian Youth Delegation.
So to follow up on that, the last time Minister Baird was seen, his staff was berating the technical person in charge of handing out the headsets for inadequate sound system. And although he's called away to last minute negotiations, he left wearing flip-flops. And it seems strange to me that there was no one in his large delegation, he felt well enough equipped to speak in his place about a plan that they're implementing, that they should have a good idea of the policy involved behind it. So, like Lise said, the title of the event was completely misleading, and we felt betrayed and embarrassed, not only on behalf of us, but on behalf of the other international people who had come to see the event, and for the speakers, because the speakers were also misled. They were informed that the event was merely going to be an event speaking about energy initiatives from Canada and nothing to do with the Turning the Corner plan.
And if people like yourself were actually in Parliament in Ottawa and were setting the policy for Canada, what should Canada's role have been here?
Canada really should have stepped up to the plate, especially in this event. This was a wonderful opportunity for them to regain some trust with the global community and to show everyone that they are stepping up to the plate and doing what they say they plan to do. Instead, they just went along with their previous actions, everything that everyone expected them to do. They fell right into that, and no one was shocked, but everyone was disappointed. And I personally, if I could address my government and Parliament, I would say that this is absolutely inappropriate, unacceptable, and it shows a severe lack of concern and a lack of commitment to the Kyoto Protocol, which I know that this current government did not sign, but they are the current government. They do sign on to what the previous governments had signed on to, and they do have to live up to those responsibilities regardless of what the previous actions had been taken by governments.
If you could choose what party or parties would actually be choosing the Prime Minister on the national level and to enact the kind of policies you'd like to see, what would that be? Who would that be?
I'm not sure who that would be. I'm really kind of torn with our governments and the delegates that we have to choose from. I do believe that any action from any government would be good action. And this is our current government. I can't really think on our future governments because this is the government we have now, and this is the government that needs to take the action.
Yeah, so to elaborate, what I would do if I was a member of parliament is, first of all, I would change the representation of the delegation so that instead of having the 4 industry reps who presented at last night's conference on our party list, I would involve youth and NGOs and people who are more representative of civil society. I would also it's not a matter of coming up with a new plan. We have a plan in place to meet our Kyoto targets. All we need to do is implement it. It's just a matter of keeping our commitments instead of being hypocritical and asking developing countries to make new commitments when we're unwilling to even meet ours.
And your name?
Jessica Wishart.
Also with?
Also with the Canadian Youth Delegation, 21 years old, from Halifax, Nova Scotia.
Thank you both of you.
I find that interesting. We just ran into the communications man for Minister Baird and asking a few questions in regards to the occurrence of last night. We addressed Eric is his name, and said, what happened? Where was the minister and why did this happen? And he retold us again that the minister was called away from negotiations, and that's his #1 priority here. We fully, wholeheartedly agree. Negotiations are completely important, and they really do need to be discussed. But we did hear an interesting piece of information that Eric told us that the Canadian government didn't even read, we're not aware of the blurb that was put in the calendar. And they, as far as they understood, they were coming to discuss Canadian technologies to address CO2 emissions. They were not aware that they were supposed to address the plan, and they feel that because the plan has been out for 7 months, we have had copious amounts of time to read it ourselves, and that no presentation given by the minister could increase our awareness on that. They also expressed that they felt extremely disrespected and that our actions were extreme in leaving the meeting. We tried to discuss this further with him and have told him that we would still perhaps like a meeting if the minister is available, and he said we have had many opportunities to meet with the minister, precisely 2, both at parties, and that they will still consider and get back to us.
So, other than reading your face, how do you feel about that interaction?
I feel that was a very useful interaction. I feel like it was wonderful to address both of our concerns of last night, both on the youth side and on the governmental side, because communications are essentially very crucial for both of those. If we can't engage in our government, we can't fully address our actions and tell them what we want. Their feelings of disrespect, I can see those being legitimized, but I do feel that those feelings of disrespect are going to spawn action from our government and say, you know, if these youth are that angry, what's going on? Perhaps, perhaps not. But it was a very useful meeting in understanding our government's position on the youth delegation and our objectives here, and as well as us understanding the government's objectives here.